especially the YouTube girlies, they're giving you the blueprint. They're showing you, you might think watching a Trader Joe's haul, and these girls go to Trader Joe's, and in the midst of going to Trader Joe's, they buy themselves some flowers because they like just buying themselves flowers every single week. When you start doing things for yourself and you start taking your control back and investing in you, you will find, and especially the longer that you're single, there's a lot of shit that you just ain't gonna put up with. Sitting up having me pray for you, and you want me to pray for you about a man who done cheated on you like 12 times and told you that he didn't want you, but you got me praying for you, and God looking at me like, nah, I ain't blessing both of y'all.
I've been trying to forget, but you won't let me. Something in my brain wants you. I've been hanging on myself, asking for help, but nothing seems to work on you.
Hey everyone, so I wanted to make this video today just because as of lately I have just been in this whole transition of, it's not necessarily finding my womanhood, because you know I've been a woman for a long time, so it's just finding me, coming into who I am as a person, and just realizing like there's a lot of negative energy out there that can really just stop you from becoming either the person that you want to be or the person that you should be. And you know, over the course of years, I have either established a lot of relationships with people that have either been beneficial for me, or they have just kind of not benefited me. So I'm here just to talk about like just life decisions and things or behaviors that you should change in order to become the person that you want to be. And the first thing that I want to start off with is just basically friendships. Sometimes you can hang on to people that don't necessarily mean you good. Sometimes you can hang on to just basically friendships that you may or may not have felt that because you've known this person for a long time, that you could either consider that person your best friend, or you don't want to lose the relationship with that person just because you've known them for a long time. But if you look at the history of that person and the relationship that you have, you just really overall didn't benefit from it. So that could be something that could stop you from becoming the person that you want to be overall. And I know that I have dealt with some of those things. I think we're all human, and you know, we want to see changes in people, we want to see the better in people. But you know, if you found that you have grown throughout your life, but that person have stayed the same and they have not grown with you, then you have to reevaluate that relationship and just kind of see, does this person's goals align with the person that I want to be? Or, you know, are their behaviors just kind of hindering me? Like, I want to be around nothing but motivational people. On the days that I fall short and I'm just not motivated, I want to look at my friends and be like, this specific person is doing it. One of my friends, for example, who I just find like so motivational, is my friend Chanel. Now you guys may have seen her on my channel before. I have vlogged with her, but like, she is a mother, a business owner. She does hair, she's got her own brow business. Like, she is freaking doing it. She's got her own clothing and shoe line. She gets up every single day and she makes it happen. Like, she doesn't wait around for excuses, because you know, she knows that when you are an entrepreneur and you are not employed by a corporation, if you do not get up and work, you will not eat. You will not be able to pay your bills. My older sister, she is an entrepreneur and a business owner, and the same thing goes with her. She's also a mother. Like, she's not clocking in 9 to 5. So if she doesn't go out and get these things for herself, then nobody's gonna get it for her. And I want to be surrounded by people like that. Like, the worst type of person to be surrounded by is somebody who doesn't have the motivation to get up and just go get it. Somebody that's always complaining. I found that I do currently have some friends that I feel like are the most talented people in the world, but they lack the motivation to get up and just go get it for themselves. I think the biggest thing with finding motivation and being talented and being creative is you have to get out your own way, because you know, a lot of times people are afraid of change and they're afraid of success. The call is coming from the inside of the house, okay? I know for a long time, change made me uncomfortable because I felt like if I grew, if I became successful, then the people around me would change, and like that hindered me for a long time. Just like, you know, the fear of moving. I live in South Carolina. There's nothing here. There's nothing to do. We barely got like really good food places. And for a long time, I didn't want to leave my sisters behind. I didn't want to leave my mom behind. I was scared to grow. And I think about all the times that I could have flourished and become the person that I've always wanted to become if I just took that leap of faith and moved. And you know, that's a me thing. Like, I'm at the point now where I realize that in order to change and grow, I have to become uncomfortable, and I think I am ready for that. And I think if I had did these things a long time ago, that I wouldn't have been prepared for them. I remember at one point I did move out of South Carolina, and I moved to Charlotte, and I was there for like 3.5, almost 4 years. And it taught me a lot of life lessons. I ended up moving back to South Carolina because I just was like, change made me uncomfortable. I wanted to run back to the same exact behaviors and things that I was doing before, like partying, going out with the same people. And when I was in Charlotte, it took me to a different environment, because when I was in Sumter, you know, being a makeup artist really wasn't a popular career there. And we had just kind of gotten introduced to the internet and stuff, so that'll tell you kind of my age. Like, MySpace was a thing. Facebook really wasn't a thing back then. MySpace was the latest craze. And so, you know, moving to Charlotte, where people were trying to be models and people were actually doing photo shoots and video shoots, and it was just a bigger area of opportunity, I was definitely uncomfortable and I was definitely scared. So, you know, moving back home, it put me back in a comfort zone, and now I'm at the point where like I have to bust out of that comfort zone because it's not beneficial to me for growth. So I will say this: sometimes you have to change your behavior or your life won't change. And so yeah, sometimes, you know, you may have to just move on from people, and you will find once you lighten the load, you will not feel as weighed down by people, because people can weigh you down. But whether you like to believe it or not, whether you know it or not, sometimes the burden of people can just affect your mental health. I am one of these people who, I am an empath. And so when people tell me like their problems and stuff, sometimes I get weighed down and burdened by it, and they might not necessarily mean to do it, but it happens. And so I know I had gotten to a point where, you know, I was going through a really rough patch in my life. I was battling depression, and I feel like there are some people who are around me constantly, they weren't checking in on me. They just kind of felt like, oh, I've seen her go through this, so she's fine, she's got it. And that wasn't necessarily the case. I just kept letting people pile and pile and pile stuff on top of me, and it just became overwhelming. And so I started putting my foot down, especially when it came to family too. And that was one of the worst things, because I always want to be there for my family, but at the end of the day, sometimes I can't take on your problems and deal with mine. Like, something's got to give, I can't solve everybody's problems. And if you are one of those type of people, then you have to kind of put your foot down and you have to say no. You got to learn how to say no, because if you don't say no, then people don't necessarily know boundaries. They will continuously call you when they've got a problem, call you when they can't pay like bills and stuff. And at the end of the day, like I said before, they don't change their behavior, their life is not going to change. If you don't change your behavior, your life is not going to change. So what is the definition of insanity? It is doing the same exact thing over and over and expecting for the results to change. I mean, that's basically it. And it will literally drive you insane if you don't put your foot down. You got to stop letting people emotionally dump on you, because it's not going to be good for your mental health. Like, I know, like I said, I'm an empath, but I would see stuff on TikTok. Like, I'd be scrolling and I'd see somebody who had, either it was a child that passed away or a teen that passed away, or somebody lost a loved one. And next thing you know, I'm sitting up crying. And if you don't know the algorithm, once you like or watch one of those videos, next thing you know, it's going to show over and over and over again. And so then social media just becomes very uncomfortable, because now you are allowing people that you don't even know to trauma dump on top of you, and it just can be overwhelming. So you as a person have to take control over your mental health, your mental space. You have to create an environment for yourself that is going to be warm and welcoming. And I have found that I like being alone sometimes. I like being alone. I like tuning the world out. When I as a makeup artist, I interact with so many people on a regular basis that when I come home from work, I am mentally exhausted. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to deal with anybody. I will not answer my calls on purpose and not feel bad about it, because I have to just tune the world out sometimes. And I had to take control over my peace. And as bad as it sounds, I don't feel bad about it, because it has worked for me, and it has also trained the people around me to understand that Shauna is not being negative. I'm being territorial of me, but I'm not being negative towards anybody. I am just taking control over my peace, and it is what it is. If you don't like it, then you might have to just not deal with me. And a lot of us can be the cause of our own problems sometimes. If you wake up every day and you're complaining about a job that you have to go to every single day and clock in and work, and you're constantly complaining about that job over and over and over again, it is your fault. You work there. You have the ability to go online and fill out applications and apply to other jobs that are either going to change your life or change your outlook on your environment. Because what did God say? Faith without works is what? Dead, baby. Faith without works is dead. Life just doesn't work like that. You have to change, and you have to get off your ass and do things that are going to better yourself. You can't sit up and cry, oh my gosh, I'm overweight, I don't want to look like this anymore, and then you turn around and you go to McDonald's and you get a Big Mac and a large soda. You have to change your behavior. So, you know, I'm not saying these things to be mean. Like, I know myself that there's some things that I had to change about myself. Like, prime example, content creation is not easy for anybody. Back in the day when it became popular, I had a lot of setbacks, you know, because the girls who had started YouTube, if you go back and you search my name back in 2012, I started doing YouTube and then I just stopped because I felt like, oh, well, this girl had the latest camera, this girl had the latest computer, everybody was using a MacBook, I couldn't afford a MacBook, and then I stopped. And then a couple months later, I turned around and I was like, okay, I'm just going to save up and I'm going to buy me a MacBook. And then I still couldn't afford it. And then I turned around and I bought me a laptop, which was like a Toshiba, and I bought me a camera, and it was like some rinky-dink vlogger camera, but at the time it was all that I could afford. And when I got those things, what did I do? I didn't get on YouTube anymore. I sure didn't. I just complained because people had moved on and they had started getting other stuff. But at the time, I want to say those girls were getting like sponsorships and stuff from their channels. So every time I found a reason why I couldn't progress, and it was all internal. I couldn't start because I didn't have the latest this and I didn't have the latest that. And I started complaining, and that's all I did. And then flash forward 2020, I've got a Canon 90D, I've got a MacBook Pro, I've got Final Cut Pro, I've got this and I've got that. And guess what I didn't do? I didn't get back on YouTube. I didn't vlog. You know, all I did was come up with excuses as why I couldn't be great. And I looked at other people's success, and in a sense, I kept blaming the fact that I wasn't where I wanted to be in life because of things that was, I wouldn't say out of my control, but they were things that just really didn't matter. Because at the time, there was people who couldn't afford none of that. And they were basically utilizing their iPhones to record. So I said all of that to say this. You got to get out of your own way. If you are not where you want to be in life, it's because you want to be where you're at. Point blank period. You want to be where you're at. You're going to have to, if it's even small changes of like when it comes to like things that I mentioned, weight. If you are not where you want to be because you're overweight and you don't like the way you look or like the way you feel about yourself, then you're going to have to make small changes, whether it is going to see a doctor and maybe getting on a diet pill, or changing your eating habits, or maybe going for a 30-minute walk, or maybe just putting YouTube on and doing yoga in the comfort of your own house. If you don't like going to a gym and being around people, you have to make small changes towards a big victory. And the last thing that I want to touch on, you may or may not be going through this, but as a single woman, the longer that I stray away from being in a relationship, I mean, I do want companionship and friendship within a person. I do want to just be able to be surrounded by love, but Lord have mercy, the type of men that I have seen out there, sis, they want to be wife too. These men out here, they want to be wife too. They want to flip your taxes, drive your car. They want to still be with their baby mama and be with you. Dating pool out here is just, it's murky. The dating pool has gotten very murky. And I'm just saying, like, if you're in a situationship or relationship and it's not beneficial to you, if you are constantly pouring into someone and you are getting nothing in return, it might be time to move on. And the thing is, I feel like most of the people who are in these situationships, they already know this, but they just are scared of change and they are scared to be alone. And I feel bad for you, sis. I feel bad for you, sis, because even though I might be alone, I'm not lonely. I am not. I come home every single night and I ain't got to worry about nobody cheating on me. I ain't got to worry about you know, no other female calling my phone. I don't have to worry about you not being where you said you was gonna be. I ain't gotta worry about that. And that is a blessing in itself. But for the people who are dealing with that and they have low self-esteem and they don't value themselves, you might need to change. You might need to just start putting you first. I feel like if I see a lot of girls online and they go on dates with themselves, they buy themselves, especially the YouTube girlies, they're giving you the blueprint. They're showing you, you might think watching a Trader Joe's haul and these girls go to Trader Joe's and in the midst of going to Trader Joe's, they buy themselves some flowers because they like just buying themselves flowers every single week. When you start doing things for yourself and you start taking your control back and investing in you, you will find, and especially the longer that you're single, there's a lot of shit that you just ain't gonna put up with. You ain't gonna put up with. And it is, you get such a peace of mind when your soul is cleansed, your mind is free, and you just ain't got to tolerate and deal with somebody that is not healed emotionally and mentally, and they're still hanging on to baggage from their childhood and they refuse to get help. Let me tell you, like I said, I might be alone, but I ain't lonely. Okay, that's why the majority of the time when I see people who be putting "pray for me" on social media and they don't put no context behind it, oh baby, I'm not praying for you. I'm not praying for you, because how I know that you ain't sitting up having me pray for you and you want me to pray for you about a man who done cheated on you like 12 times and told you that he didn't want you, but you got me praying for you and God looking at me like, nah, I ain't blessing both of y'all. It's not happening. It's not happening, sis. So I think that all in all, this conversation was about taking back control over your life, changing your behavior. You will begin to see your life move and transition into a positive direction. You will step into your purpose when you start taking back control of your life and stop allowing people to come into your life who have not changed, who don't want to step into their purpose, who are not healed. There's a lot of unhealed souls walking around here and they want to drain you of your energy. And you got to start becoming more protective of your peace. So thank you guys for coming to my TED Talk. I hope that this conversation between us resonated to someone out there. And, you know, I love you. You love me. Thank you for tuning in, sticking it out and thugging it out with me. I want the best for you like I want the best for me. So I love you. I will see you in my next video. And that's just that on that, girl. Bye.